This program airs statewide on California Public Television and is a California's Gold classic. Hi, I'm Huell. Welcome to the San Antonio Winery, a wonderful old place which was established back in 1917 by the Rivoli family, who came to California from their native Italy. Now, these days, the San Antonio Winery is still owned and operated by the Rivoli family, and it holds the distinction of being the last remaining winery in Los Angeles. Now, this place is just one of many family-owned and operated businesses throughout California. Many of them have been in the same family for generations. And on this particular adventure, we're going to visit two of those businesses. I'm not going to tell you where they are or what they produce, but I'll give you a hint. Two words: berries and olives. And if this piques your interest at all, as always, you're invited to join us. I call this adventure Berries and Olives, and is part of our continuing search for California's gold. It was one of those spectacular California days. Blue skies, white puffy clouds, majestic mountains off in the distance. We were in the San Joaquin Valley, near the town of Lindsay, about 55 miles north of Bakersfield. Our destination was an olive ranch, and not just any old olive ranch either. We were heading for the Graber Olive Ranch. Now, this is where they pick Graber olives, established back in 1894. Graber olives have become famous all over the world as an unusually flavorful gourmet olive. And when you look at the pictures of the way they picked olives in the old days and compare them with the way things are done today, there's very little difference. I was given the tour of the ranch by ranch manager Howard Kirkpatrick, who's been with Graber 25 years. Then I met up with Manuel Benitez, the picking foreman, who's been there 27 years. And then I met up with Vicente Garcia, who's been with the company 40 years. In other words, there are a lot of people who've been a part of this company a long time. Now, the first thing I noticed during the tour was that all the pickers were working fast. That's 'cause they get paid by the box. Second thing I noticed was that they weren't picking all the olives off the branches. That's because for 100 years now, Graber picks only the ripe olives. They leave the green ones on the tree and come back later to pick them after they've gotten ripe. Now, this is unique. Other olive companies pick all the olives, ripe and green, at the same time. So she's only picking the ripe ones. You're leaving all the green ones. Now, will you come back by in 6 days and get the ripe ones?
But a week, we come back and all this here, they're ready to go. Some years we go but 7, 8 times.
Back to the same tree?
Same tree, yeah. The people making good money, they love this picking.
We do it, but this is a nice color that we want to have right there. These make the best olives in the world right there.
Really?
Really, right there, see?
Now, what is it that when you see these make you, well, wait a minute, this one right here is green.
Well, this one is not green. You know, this turn color like this tomorrow?
Really?
They change color overnight. They really do.
Now, could I eat this right now?
Oh, no, you better not.
Why?
They're very acidy. They have to go through a process.
Oh, that's what we're going to see.
That's what you can
when
see
we
in
go down to the
Southern California. Right?
Oh, okay. So what would this make me sick?
Make you sick.
Make your mouth awful astringent. Go ahead and take a bite.
No,
I'll
I'm not going to do that. I may be from the city, but I'm not
No,
that.
the greenhorn thing is to take someone out to eat a ripe olive. Now's your chance.
Okay, so I'm a greenhorn. At least they stopped me before I ate one. And obviously there is more to olives than just growing them and picking them. So we said goodbye to our friends in the San Joaquin Valley and drove about 250 miles south to Ontario in San Bernardino County. That's where the Graber Olive House is located, where they cure, process, and can these historic olives. Mr. Graber?
I'm Bob Graber.
Nice to meet you,
Oh,
sir.
So nice.
As soon as I got there, I met Bob and Betty Graber and their son, Cliff, who run the company. Bob was born on the place back in 1912. In fact, the old family home's still there. In fact, everything's still there. Now, the Graber family members had work to do, and I'd meet up with them again later. For me, I was off on the tour.
Well, Huell, I know that you were at the ranch and saw us actually picking the olives. We bring them down here on trucks in the evening, and this is the first stage of the process.
Now, what is this called right here?
This is called the grading room, and this is the grading line. The ladies that are working here on each side of the belt are looking over the olives. They're checking them for bruises and broken skins. And of course, they're pulling out any olives that aren't of the exact type of quality that we want.
Look at this room. Now, this looks like 100 years ago.
It definitely does, and it is.
Okay, let's get up here
Okay.
and take a look, because I want to see. This is called grading?
Yes.
Grading the olives.
Yes, and that's determining the olive size. As you can see, the ladies are turning the olives, feeling for any lumps. They're looking for any bruises or broken skins, and they're pulling out any of the olives that are not of the best quality.
Now, there's a green one right there.
That'll probably get pulled out.
So they would pull that one out and do what with it?
Well, some of the olives that are pulled out, they're a little underripe or a little overripe, are put aside for a special type of olive we have called the orchard run.
I'm going to put this one back.
Go right ahead. They'll pick it up.
They'll pick it up.
Definitely.
They must have amazing, I mean, this is something you learn. You can just spot them right away, right?
Definitely. Most of these ladies come back to us and work every harvest season, so they definitely have perfected their craft.
Now, is this being done exactly the way it would have been done years ago, except probably they didn't have an electric belt, but...
Well, actually, the very first grader that C.C. Graber built was actually motorized by a Model T Ford engine.
Really?
So he actually did that. But this grader that we're using today was built about 1932.
It looks old. It's wonderful, though. It has so much character to it.
It does. It does.
Now, what's this?
Well, down here at the end of the conveyor belt, Huell, is the grading machine.
Now, this really looks old-timey.
Yes, definitely.
I mean, this is as basic as it gets, isn't it?
The grading machine was designed so that it sorts out all the different sizes of olives. There's nylon ropes inside of the machine that'll start off close together at the beginning and then gradually will widen apart as it goes down to the end.
So the bigger olives are at the end, the
Yes.
smaller ones, well, yeah, you can see them right down the line
Yeah,
here.
yeah. And this was actually C.C. Graber's idea to sort out the different sizes of olives. And he numbered his olives. The number system basically is that you grade them on a 1/16 of an inch. So if you have a small olive, it's going to be 10/16 of an inch in diameter.
Wow.
And you're going to work your way down until you get into a large olive, which is about 14/16 of an inch in diameter, which are these nice big ones down here.
Now, are the big ones the prize ones, or does it really make any difference?
Yes, definitely. In fact, the size 16 olive, which is the very largest olive that
These
we
are the
have.
big ones here.
Yes. We used to have waiting lists for the olives in the 16s because you didn't get too many of them. Over the last few years, though, our trees have produced nice big olives, so we have plenty of the big ones.
Boy, look at this, Louis. There's a whole big box of number 16s. Those are the big ones.
That's one big mouthful all at once, which is great. Huell, this is the vat room.
The vat room.
the
And
vat
boy, there
room.
are 100 vats in here.
There's actually 550 vats in here. As you'll be able to see, they're made out of concrete, and they do have the lids to hold the olives down into the salt brine. There you go.
Yep, they're all full of olives.
Definitely.
Look at that.
This is where the olives have to soak in the salt brine for about 3 weeks.
So that is salt brine.
Which is a lot of salt and a lot of water.
Here's Vicente
And here's
in here.
Vicente.
Howdy. Good to see you.
Nice to see you
Now
again.
this is your main area,
This is
right?
my main area right here, yes.
Now tell me what's happening here.
Right here, we bring the olives fresh and put it on this vest to cure.
To cure.
It takes 3 weeks to cure. And we keep it here 3 weeks and clean it every day. We change water every day.
Oh, so you change the water every day
Every
for
day.
3 weeks.
Yes.
And then what happens?
And then we dip it, when they're ready, we dip it on these buckets and take it to the grader again to can.
To can.
Right.
Now what's happening here is the olives, after they've been checked, are falling into the filling wheel. The ladies that work here are hand scooping the olives into the cans. So the cans are underneath the holes here on the filling wheel.
Oh, so the cans are in here.
Yes.
And they're, okay, I see what's happening. So the canning is going on in the other room.
So the olives are being filled into the cans here, and then they go to the next room.
Oh,
Great.
look at this place. Where's all this steam coming from?
Well, these two Panama paddle packers actually have a lot of steam going on because our olives are packed in hot water. The water's about 200 degrees on top of the olives, and then the Panama paddle packers actually drop the lids and seal them onto the cans.
The Panama paddle packers.
Yes.
Where did that name come from?
Well, it's actually the Continental Can Company. They were created back in the 30s, which the quickest way from one point to the other was through the Panama Canal, so they named it the Panama Paddle Packer.
Boy, these things look older than the Panama Canal. This is amazing. Look at this stuff.
They're workhorses.
Wow.
And in their time, they were the very latest. Well, these do 45 cans a minute. There's machines now that'll do 1,500 cans a minute.
But you're sticking with the old...
Sticking with us, with this, because it's a hand quality operation, as you saw from the grove through to the grading. So we just can't have a lot of speed. You still have to have that hand operation that's looked over closely by people.
Another old machine.
That's right. We just keep these machines going. You can get spare parts for these too.
How old is this one?
This dates from the 40s. It's kind of a youngster around here.
The 1840s or the 1940s?
1940s. Sometimes when it gives us a little trouble, you'd think it'd be 1840s.
Wow.
But it's running well today.
Well, this history never stops, does it? I mean, they're wonderful, wonderful stories.
Definitely.
That just keep on going.
Yeah. And we have a good time here too. Well, we work, but it's somehow is play as well.
Was there ever a time in the history of this family-owned business that you thought about modernizing and changing and getting into mass production and all of that sort of thing?
Well, we've been asked many times, why don't we do that? But we feel that it's a hands-on business, and we feel if we branch out, we might lose control of our quality. So we do all we can, the best we know how, and the best quality.
Keeping it quality rather than quantity.
Right. It's worked out.
Now our next stop was a barrel of fun, a real scream. Welcome to Knott's Berry Farm, located in Buena Park in Orange County. Now there's no doubt about it, this is one of America's favorite amusement parks, with lots of neat rides and things to do for the whole family. And it's also a place with a lot of family history.
This is a simple story about a young married couple who started this little roadside berry stand way back in 1920. Walter and Cordelia Knott began with nothing. There was almost no chance for success, and yet they did succeed. With courage and hard work, Knott's Berry Farm has grown from 10 acres of rented farmland to a massive 200-acre family attraction.
It is a wonderful story. A true story about a California pioneering family, Walter and Cordelia Knott, who moved to the sleepy little community of Buena Park back in 1920, rented some land and started growing berries. Before long, they opened up a little stand on the side of Beach Boulevard and started selling the berries they were growing to people who stopped by. Then in 1934, to help make ends meet, Cordelia opened up a little restaurant on the place and started selling chicken dinners served on her wedding china. Before long, the chicken dinners became so popular, hundreds of hungry customers would be lined up every day just to get in. And to give them something to do while they were waiting, Mr. Knott started recreating an honest-to-goodness western town near the restaurant. They called it a ghost town because it was made up of real buildings brought there from real ghost towns all over the West. Well, the place just kept growing and growing, and before long it evolved into the massive amusement park it is today. But even today, Mr. Knott's ghost town is still there, unchanged, and it is still the heart and soul of Knott's Berry Farm. Now, if we had been walking down this street in 1940, would it have looked just about like?
It would have looked just about like this, except that there would have been no blacktop. It would have been still dirt in 1940, a dirt street.
It was a very special morning. The morning right as the park was opening up that I was given a personal tour of historic Ghost Town by two of Walter and Cordelia Knott's children, who've been involved with the place since they were youngsters and are still very much a part of this family operation. And it was obvious right away they love this place.
You wanted to see Boot Hill.
Oh, this is Boot Hill. How'd your mom take to the amusement park business?
She liked it, not like Dad did. Mother had two loves, her family and her chicken dinner restaurant. And that was her life.
So she pretty well stayed with the chicken dinners.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, well, here we are at Boot Hill. Now, this does look authentic.
It does.
And this was put here by your dad as well.
Well, put your foot right there.
Oh.
You hear a heartbeat?
You can feel a heartbeat underneath your foot. Now, how many years?
That's been here forever and ever and ever.
That's the oldest trick in the world. When you put your foot here, you can feel a beating like it's a heartbeat. And you still get a kick out of seeing people do that, don't you?
Yes, I do.
See, I think you all have got a lot of showbiz blood in you as well.
Oh, we've just grown up with it.
Yeah.
I think so.
This is a house made out of bottles, and they did this in the old time because they had bottles, but they didn't have building material. So they would put adobe or put mud or clay and just use all the old bottles. And this is one of the original bottle houses.
That was built by your
Dad.
In. So this was built in
1939, 40, 41. These two girls that you see here that you can have your picture taken with were actually the two girls that worked in the saloon at the time that it was built. So we used to play jokes on people. They would see the girls out here, and then they would go in and they would see them in there, you know. So there was a lot of fun had in Ghost Town.
Now, this is all still Ghost Town.
That's all Ghost Town.
And this is all still original stuff here.
Absolutely.
Now, as children, was this where you came to play, or did they put you to work right away?
I went to work pretty soon, really. You know, back in the 30s. It was really very tough times. And lots of the people that were working for us took half of their wage in jam and half of it in cash.
Really?
But everything was free.
Everything was free until 1968.
Wow. How did you make any money off of it?
We didn't make a whole lot.
The chicken dinners. Now this, standing right here and looking at this looks authentic.
It is. This building was brought in, many buildings were brought in.
So you mean this was an original building somewhere else?
Hotel.
Yes, and it was just brought in. Many of the buildings were just picked up where they were found and brought in.
Oh look, you got a blacksmith going down here.
See, they're school children again, watching, learning.
So this is much more than an amusement park.
Oh, yes, it is.
I think so.
I mean, you don't really think of it as an amusement park, do you?
Well, we do now because, you see, when we started charging admission, then we had to start adding a lot more things. Because the people had been coming for free all of those years. They wanted something more if they were going to pay.
Let me go over and talk to the blacksmith here. Excuse me, Mr. Blacksmith. I'm Huell.
Larry Nelson.
Nice to meet you.
Pleasure, sir.
How do the kids react to seeing a real blacksmith here?
I think they love it. I love having them react, I'll tell you. This is a great part of the experience.
And what kind of things do you talk to them about?
Well, we just got through talking about how we shoed the horses in the old days through the livery stable, and how we made the branding irons because they didn't have any fences. And now we got into how the blacksmiths were probably your first recyclers, and we recycled the railroad spikes and the knives, forks, and spoons.
So you got the whole historical spiel here for
them. Give it to them in a nutshell, you betcha.
Well, kids, have you learned a lot about blacksmiths today? Yeah. Oh, boy, that's what we like to hear. Yeah, the kids love it, don't they?
Yeah, they sure do.
The kids love it. Here's the post office.
The post office.
The general store. The livery stable. And the old windmill up here.
Right. The pepper trees here are typical of what would have been in an old town in the olden days. It's a tree that was very popular years and years ago. The two streets down here are all the original 39, 40, 41 buildings.
Now, have you gone out of your way to leave them just kind of
Right.
exactly the way
Absolutely.
he...
Certainly have tried.
Really?
Yes, I should say.
You just don't want to change them, or?
We don't want to change them, and we keep them the way they were. If a board gets damaged, we don't replace it with a new board. We find an old weathered board someplace and replace it the way that it would have been.
Really?
Sure.
Because we think that's our charm, is the oldness of it. I mean, you can't have a new ghost town, really.
This lady looks like you've worked here a few years.
Oh, just started yesterday.
Oh, she didn't either. She's been here forever. She's 81. 81.
And I'm on my 31st year.
You've been here 31 years?
You come down to the schoolhouse and I'll see if you did your homework.
Oh, so she's the school marm.
I have a dunce cap waiting.
So she's the school marm,
Yeah.
talking to the kids.
Yeah.
So you knew their dad and mom very well.
Oh, yes.
Now, when you all came here to work, did you have an understanding of the history and tradition of this place, Knott's Berry Farm?
My dad delivered vegetables to Mr. Knott in the 30s, so I've been coming here since then and knew Mr. Knott and Cordelia in the 50s and 60s, so I've been part of the park sign on the outside for years.
And now you're working here.
Of course.
Now that's amazing. This lady I just talked with, I asked her if she knew the history of the place. Her father knew your father.
Well, gosh, we've been here 75 years. There has to be an awful lot of interconnection here. I mean, this isn't a very big place, and there is an awful lot of that. We have a lot of third generations of people working here at the farm.
Really?
Millions of people from all over the world have visited Knott's Berry Farm. They come to see the sights and to enjoy one of Mrs. Knott's famous chicken dinners. The food served here is half the reason for visiting the farm in the first place. It must be good. As many as 9,000 chicken dinners have been served here in just one day.
So this is your mom's original place. This is kind of where it started.
This is the original place, and there was a door right through back here, right into our house.
So
our
they
house,
were connected.
Yes, oh yes.
So Mother could step out the door this way, and Dad could step out on the other side to the nursery and to the berry stand.
Now, we have two ladies here that you wanted to introduce us to.
Well, yes. Lila and Betty. They're newcomers here to the farm. Betty has only been here 45 years, and Lila is really new. She's only been here 15.
Oh, you are the newcomer, only 15 years. You've been working here in the restaurant for 45 years?
I have worked. I haven't just been here, I have worked.
Of course, yeah.
Now, you worked with Mrs. Knott when she was making her famous chicken and her famous pies and all of that.
That's
What was it like working for this lady?
Let's see. She was tough. She was fair, though. That was the one thing about her. She was a very fair person to work for. I loved every minute of it. I am the kitchen supervisor now, And I like to think that I have patterned myself after her, seeing that these dinners are put out like she would have liked them.
Now, this is all very historic. We're sitting here under the picture of your mom and dad walking through historic ghost town, and we have your mom's chicken just been delivered to us, and you have already given me instructions on how to eat it and what to eat first. What'd you say?
Well, if it were me, I would start with the wishbone, and then the thigh, and then the leg. And the one instruction I have to give you is that you must eat it with your fingers. There is no other way to eat the chicken except
Well, I'm
with your
originally
fingers.
from Tennessee, so you don't have to tell me that.
Okay.
But I want you to notice this. Look, the two sisters are cheating. You all are having salads.
Well, we have eaten an awful lot of chicken in our days.
50 years.
Okay, so I'm starting right here with
The wishbone.
with the wishbone. This is great. This is probably the most historic piece of chicken I've ever eaten. Your mom's famous chicken.
Absolutely.
And it's good, too. Now, did your dad know anything about running an amusement park?
No. Dad would have told you, even to the day that he died, that he was a farmer, and he was. But Dad really was a showman, too. He had a tremendous sense of showmanship. And it's a very strange combination, a farmer and a showman, but he was.
This is Walter Knott. He knows more about the farm than anyone else on earth. It's his whole life. One of Walter's favorite diversions is strolling with the crowds through his farm that is now world famous. All he ever wanted to be was a good farmer. Ironically, his own ideas and imagination made that impossible. As the farm became more of a tourist attraction, Walter Knott found less and less time for farming. Still, he's rightfully proud of what he and his family have accomplished. The 4 children grew up on the farm. From the very beginning, each member of the family shared the work, the problems, the pleasures, and the eventual success.
Well, I hope you enjoyed our visit to these family-owned businesses, Graber Olives, Knott's Berry Farm, and now we're back here again at San Antonio Winery. You know, all 3 of these businesses, plus many, many more throughout our state, are not only important to the economic life of California, but a part of our state's history and culture as well. In fact, when you think about it, all 3 are perfect examples of California's gold. And as we say goodbye, as always, you're invited to join us again next time as we continue our search together. Goodbye, everybody. Well, hello, everybody. I'm Huell Hauser, and I sure hope you enjoyed this adventure. If you'd like to see it again or share it with your family or friends, all you have to do is call 1-800-266-5727, and we'll be glad to send it to you right away.